Hello everyone, welcome back again. So it's now time for my next reaction to another tribute to Sarah Jane, I think. So the title is Farewell Sarah Jane. This was out 4 years ago, let me just click on it. April 2020, and it says today marks the anniversary of the passing of Elizabeth, who played the Doctor's friend Sarah Jane Smith. In a new video scripted by Russell T Davies and narrated by Jacob Dudman, Sarah Jane Smith's closest friends come together to say farewell, Sarah Jane. And the anniversary of her passing, so what, 9 years would 2020 have been since she passed? I'm saying time flies. I wasn't even, aware of all of this going on, but so what's it been, 13 years? It's been 13 years since she passed. It's another 13-minute. I've just watched the tribute, the My Sarah Jane tribute, so my palate is cleansed. My throat is hurting from trying not to cry. Goodness knows how this is going to go. So let's go.
It was a lovely service, and everyone came. Luke, Clyde and Rani looked around the room. So many people. It was a bright, cold spring day, sunlight shining through the tall windows of the reception room. And the guests sat on chairs.
Well, they actually killed her off in the series.
In the corridor and outside on the lawn. Luke said hello to the soldiers from UNIT, and the Brigadier's daughter gave him the biggest hug. Clyde chatted with a nice couple from Australia, Tegan and Nissa. And then Ben and Polly, who'd come from India. Then Ian and Barbara from Cambridge, and then Martha and Mickey with their son August.
What?
A woman called Dodo said hello, and so did Dr. Holloway, and Liz Shaw, and someone called Victoria, and Sky manifested briefly in her human form. Captain Jack stood at a distance, and saluted, but they laughed and joked with everyone, and then Maria cried, and her father hugged her. But Rani stood back. She was polite and smiling. She watched everyone and everything, but Rani didn't say much at all. Once the wonderful speeches and glorious songs were done, everyone broke up into little groups. But really, a sense of joy, huge joy, in remembering a life well lived and well loved. There was also a quick little 10 minutes where the tall, handsome waiters turned out to be jackals of the backwards clock, servants of the trickster, who materialized in a blaze of dark light with a plan to swap planet Earth with a vile copy from the septic dimension.
That's brilliant.
But all the guests joined forces to shrink the trickster to the size of a doll and lock him in a treasure chest at the bottom of the Atlantic for the next 1,000 years. First of all, Jo Jones came up to them and said,
"Well, my darlings, I'm sorry, but I really do have to run. Wasn't it wonderful? Oh gosh, and I'm really sorry about breaking that vase." I loved her so much. And I've been thinking, I know you're all waiting for the doctor to turn up, but come on, he couldn't, could he? I mean, he's got 2 hearts. Imagine them both breaking. I don't think he could bear it. Anyway,
Oh God, that got me.
I don't know, saving some asteroid from a giant squid or something. And remember, I love you all so much. I really, really do. Take care, my darlings. Mwah.
and off she went. Geeta and Haresh had missed all the business with the trickster because she'd brought sausage rolls for the buffet, but she'd lost the plate and went to the kitchens to cause a right old fuss demanding it back.
I couldn't understand half of it. She was a funny woman. I used to get all tense because, well, I thought Haresh fancied her. But I tell you what about Sarah Jane. She was your best friend.
Oh God.
You 3. But you stayed. All the time. With her. And I used to think that says something about Sarah Jane Smith. It says that she was a remarkable and the streets very quiet without her.
And we sat in the dark, and the doctor went all quiet and full of memories, like he sometimes did. And he said, I miss her. Out of all the people in this whole wide universe, I miss Sarah Jane.
And Dorothy said goodbye, taking K9 with her. And everyone made their farewells, until it was just Luke, Clyde and Ronnie, the old gang. And they talked about Sarah Jane. And Clyde said,
she was alright.
and they laughed. But then he said,
I could have been nothing. You know, just one of those boys bad at school. It's like Sarah Jane looked through the crowd. She saw me. You know? She saw what I could be. I wish I told her how much I loved her, because I did. I loved her with my whole heart.
and they talked about the terrible day they'd heard the news. Luke and Clyde both agreed. They'd all been out of the country at the time, Luke with UNIT in Geneva, Clyde as a guest of honour at the New York Comic Con, Rani at the North Pole reporting on Project Refreeze. So it felt like Sarah Jane had waited until they were out of sight, to save them any pain. Though even a supercomputer couldn't hide the sadness behind the words. Sarah Jane had left instructions. She had said that Bannerman Road should close down. Mr. Smith should be folded away in secret, and the house left to grow dark, waiting. That's what Sarah Jane had said. Waiting for the next one, waiting for its new owner. But they'd see each other on Christmas Day, like they always did. The best of friends forever. And then Luke said,
I was so lucky
Oh, look at the picture.
because I had the best mother in the entire universe. She showed me the whole wide world. And I don't mean all the monsters and invasions and people made of smoke and vegetables. I mean the real world. She's the one who told me that Sanjay was looking at me in that way. And she's the one who told me to go and talk to him. And now we've been married for 5 years.
Oh my god!
That's the greatest gift she ever gave me. I may have been created by the Bane, but Mum, she gave me life.
and as the timer ticked away, before Mr. Smith folded himself into the dark, Rani stood in the doorway, and she thought. And then Rani said,
You know what I think? I think it's not over. Because
Oh, that's a clever angle.
I don't think she's dead. Because I honestly think, in my heart and soul, that he came back for her. Right at the end, the doctor came back for his Sarah Jane. And he said, Should we go? Out into the stars. One last trip. And she said, Oh yes, please. Sarah Jane and the doctor in the TARDIS, travelling through space and time forever in a story that never ends.
Yes, Rani, I think so too.
Goodbye, Mr. Smith.
Then Rani closed the door and walked downstairs, went outside, locked the front door. But it's still there. The house on Bannerman Road. Just waiting.
Wow. Talk about a sucker punch. That got me right in the gut. That was so emotional. I wasn't expecting it to be like Sarah Jane's funeral. So I don't know what's happened with like audiobooks or anything. So that was 2020. So we essentially have like That was 2020, so they're saying that that's essentially when they've killed off the character. So like Clyde, Rani and Luke, 9 years after. Which I actually think was a really beautiful idea. Oh, I don't know why they didn't get Alexander Armstrong back to be Mr. Smith. Sorry, my face is absolutely covered in tears. The bit that got me was when Joe said, of course the doctor couldn't be here. He's got 2 hearts. Imagine 2 hearts breaking. Rani's bit at the end was really beautiful. I don't know if she had a green screen on or whatever, but that was really clever. Luke is married. I didn't know that. They've all gone to be successful, which I didn't, you know, I never questioned that. That was just really, really cleverly done. The narrator was great, Jacob, I think. That was just rude. That was just it was just, I just was not expecting that we were essentially doing Sarah Jane's funeral. And I thought that was a really, really clever idea. I wonder if Russell ever wanted to do an actual episode. I think it would have been too much for people, wouldn't it? Like an actual, like once lockdown was done. And I wonder why he chose to do it in 2020. That was very, very, very emotional. That was very emotional. But like, that's just credit to the writing. It was so beautifully done. The narrator was so good. And I liked the beginning bit when they were saying about who was at the funeral and just hearing the names and stuff. And I love that Joe actually broke a vase on camera. I just feel like Katie Manning just goes for it, doesn't she? She's like, you want a broken vase? I'll give you a broken vase. Well, assuming that was her, I don't even know if that was her. It could have been someone else. I thought that was brilliant. I thought it was really brilliant. There was nothing more to say. I guess I was just expecting another, like the tribute I just watched. I thought it was just going to be like messages. Yeah, I just thought it would be messages from people, not an actual, you know, pretty much a semi-episode. But yeah, because I think in my head maybe it was a bit sad as well, because it's like, oh, they've killed off the character. Because in my head Sarah Jane's still going. Oh, and then Rani saying that she doesn't think, you know, Sarah Jane's dead. The doctor came and got her and said one last adventure, and I was like, that's what I think when the tears started flowing. I was like, you can't be doing this to me. That must have been so hard for them to film those scenes, so credit to them. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. There's nothing more to say. It was awfully sad, but also just joyous. Yeah. I'm glad I watched it. I think that is everything now done with the Sarah Jane Adventures. If there's any more little things I need to watch, then let me know, but I've not been told of anything more, which means that I can move on to class. I do feel, now I've seen that it feels like I finished the Sarah Jane Adventures, whereas when I'd watched the final episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures, it just still felt very open. I didn't have that definitive end. Yeah, now I've got it. Thanks, guys. Now I'm in mourning. Okay? But yeah, onwards and upwards. So thank you so much for joining me. If you have only joined me for the Sarah Jane Adventures, I thank you, and hopefully I will see you again soon at some point.